Zodiac signs with the strongest spiritual energy. Spiritual energy isn't something people talk about openly. It's something you sense in the presence of certain people. It's not about words or actions. There's just something that sets them apart from others. For zodiac signs carry this energy from birth, not as a gift, but as a fundamental part of their being. And the way it works in each of them explains many things that previously seemed incomprehensible. Subscribe to the channel. Here I reveal the secrets of your zodiac sign and its connection to the constellations. Pisces. Pisces carried the most ancient type of spiritual energy of all 12 signs, not the loudest, not the brightest, precisely the most ancient, the one that existed before words, before structures, before any systems for describing reality. In archetypal symbolism, Pisces is the sign that stands on the boundary between the visible and the invisible. Two symbols, and both are in water. In esoteric tradition, water is the medium where form has not yet emerged, but already exists, where the future exists, but has not yet been determined. Pisces live precisely in this gap. This is not a metaphor for their character, it is a literal description of how they perceive reality. Pisces sense what has not yet happened, not through guesswork, and not through logic. The sensation simply appears before the event, and people around Pisces often notice this, but rarely can explain where it comes from. Pisces' spiritual power lies in their ability to act as an antenna. They pick up frequencies that most people simply cannot hear. Someone's pain in the room, tension in a relationship that hasn't yet been put into words, the potential of a situation that appears neutral on the surface. But there is a flip side to this power, and it is important. Pisces lack a natural filter between themselves and what they pick up. They absorb everything, and if a Pisces hasn't learned to distinguish their own from others, they waste their own energy on other people's states, other people's pain, other people's unfinished business. That is precisely why Pisces often feel tired for no reason, not because they are weak, but because their spiritual system is constantly at work, even when they are not aware of it. There is a detail that is rarely discussed in the context of Pisces' spiritual energy. Their power is not at its peak when they are trying to help, it is when they are simply present, without intention, without effort, just there. And the people around them feel this as calm, as safety, as a sense that they are understood without words. This is a rare quality, and it is the foundation of Pisces' spiritual nature. The depth of this ability in a specific person of this sign does not manifest in youth. It unfolds over time and through experience, especially through the experience of loss and renewal. Scorpio. Scorpio carries a different kind of spiritual energy, not quiet or subtle, transformative, where Pisces feels Scorpio passes through. This is a fundamental difference in the nature of spiritual power. In archetypal symbolism, Scorpio is associated with a process that has been called by different names in various traditions: death and rebirth, dissolution and crystallization, the end and the beginning at a single point. This is not about physical death. It is about the ability to enter states of complete destruction of the old form and to emerge from them with a new one. No other sign does this with such natural ease. Scorpio is not afraid of the darkness. It navigates within it, not because it is harsh or insensitive. Quite the opposite, because its sensitivity is so acute that it has long since learned to exist where others feel uncomfortable even entering. Scorpio's spiritual strength lies in the ability to see the truth where others see only the surface. He senses motives. He sees what is hidden. He recognizes when words do not match intent. This makes Scorpio a natural guardian, a person who keeps the system honest around him simply by his presence. But there comes a point where this power turns against Scorpio themselves. They see the darkness in others so clearly that sometimes they can't stop searching. They begin to suspect where there is no cause. They keep people at a distance that protects them from pain, but also cut them off from genuine connection. Scorpio's true spiritual maturity comes when they begin to apply to themselves the very same honesty they apply to the world around them. There is a symbolic coincidence that explains the nature of Scorpio more accurately than any description. In Egyptian tradition, the symbol of Scorpio stands alongside the symbol of transformation, not as a threat, but as a guide, one who leads through a dangerous place because they know it better than anyone. This is the spiritual function of Scorpio, not to protect from the darkness, but to lead through it. Aquarius. Aquarius carries a spiritual energy that is the hardest to define, because it works not with the person in front of you, but with the space between people. Pisces fills, Scorpio transforms. Aquarius sees the structure. In archetypal symbolism, Aquarius is the sign that carries water, but is not water itself. It transmits, conveys, and connects. Its spiritual nature is that of a conduit between levels, between systems, between people who have not yet found common ground. This is precisely why Aquarius often finds itself in the role of a person ahead of their time, not because they are smarter, but because they see connections where others still see only isolated phenomena. Aquarius' spiritual strength lies in their ability to see the big picture. They sense how an event in one place is connected to another event in a completely different context. They understand systems, not through analysis, but through an intuitive grasp of patterns. But there is a paradox in Aquarius' spiritual nature that must be explicitly addressed. Aquarius is so focused on the general, on humanity, on ground processes, that sometimes they fail to notice the specific person right next to them. They love people in the abstract and can see detached from the specific person beside them. This is not indifference. It is characteristic of the type of spiritual energy they carry. It is directed broadly, and because of this, it does not always have sufficient depth at the point. Aquarius' true spiritual power unfolds when they learn to combine a grand vision with presence in the small moment. There is something that sets Aquarius apart from all other signs in terms of spiritual energy. His presence changes the space around him not through personal power, but because he carries a certain type of ideas or vision. The room remains different after a conversation with Aquarius, not because he said anything special, because he brought a new perspective into it, and it continues to work even after he's gone. Cancer. Cancer carries a spiritual energy that is rarely called spiritual and yet is one of the oldest forms of the sacred. It is the energy of protection and memory. In archetypal symbolism, Cancer is linked to the moon through a very specific mechanism. The moon has no light of its own. It reflects, but it is precisely through this reflection that it gives people a guide in the darkness. Cancer, too, does not claim to be a source, but it preserves and transmits what it has received. Cancer's spiritual power lies in its ability to hold on to memory, not just personal memory, ancestral, collective, archetypal memory. Cancer carries within itself something from its ancestors, not in a mystical sense, but in a psychological and energetic one. It is the point where the family's past remains alive and continues to influence, and this gives them access to layers of experience they themselves have never had. People feel a sense of safety around Cancer, not because Cancer is strong or provides literal protection, but because in their presence there is a sense of roots, something that stands firm and holds. But there is a subtle fracture in Cancer's spiritual nature that is important to understand. This holding power sometimes becomes a burden. Cancer holds on not only to the good, it also holds on to what should have been let go long ago, resentment that are no longer relevant, relationships that have run their course, versions of themselves and others that fit the past but no longer fit the present. And as long as they hold on to the old, there is no room for the new to enter. Cancer's spiritual maturity is not about developing a new quality. It is about learning to let go with the same awareness with which it holds on. There is a symbolic coincidence that perfectly describes Cancer's spiritual nature. In many traditions, water is a symbol of memory. Water holds on to everything that has passed through it. Cancer is a water sign, and it holds on to everything in the same way. The only question is what exactly it chooses to keep. This is its main spiritual task. What Cancer's spiritual strengths will become in maturity depends on the answer to this question. And the answer forms slowly over the years and through experience that cannot be rushed. Is your sign here? Write in the comments. I'm curious to see how many people recognize themselves. Subscribe to the channel. Personal analysis for every zodiac sign are posted here.